If you've been eating the same way you always have, but suddenly your clothes are getting tighter. If you've tried every diet known to humanity, but the scale keeps creeping up. Or if you've been told by doctors that weight gain in menopause is just inevitable and you need to accept it. What I'm about to reveal in the next 11 minutes is going to completely shatter everything you thought you knew about menopause weight gain. I'm a menopause specialist with over 15 years of experience helping thousands of women navigate this transition. And I can tell you right now that 95% of the women I see have been given completely wrong information about why they're gaining weight during menopause. But here's what's going to shock you the most, and you absolutely need to stay until the very end because what I'm going to tell you about the real culprit behind menopause weight gain will not only explain why traditional dieting has failed you, but it will also reveal the one metabolic shift that's been happening in your body for months or even years that nobody has bothered to explain to you. And once you understand this, everything about your weight gain will finally make sense. Let me start with something that's going to blow your mind. The weight you're gaining during menopause isn't actually about eating too much or exercising too little. In fact, research published in the Journal of Clinical Endocrinology shows that women can gain an average of 1 to 2 pounds per year during perimenopause and menopause, even when their caloric intake and activity levels remain exactly the same. Think about that for a moment. Your body is literally changing the rules of the game without telling you, and everyone around you, including most healthcare providers, are still playing by the old rules. This is why you've been fighting a losing battle, and this is why traditional weight loss advice doesn't work for women going through menopause. Now, before I reveal the real reason behind your weight gain, I need you to understand something crucial that connects to what I'm going to tell you later about the metabolic massacre that's happening in your body. Every single woman I work with comes to me saying the exact same thing. They feel like their body has been hijacked by a stranger. They tell me they wake up looking in the mirror and don't recognize the person staring back at them. They say they feel like they're living in someone else's body, and the most heartbreaking part is that they blame themselves. They think they're doing something wrong. They think they lack willpower. They think they're just getting old and this is their new reality. But what if I told you that none of this is your fault? And what if I told you that there's a scientific explanation for every single change you're experiencing that has nothing to do with your character, your discipline, or your age? The first thing you need to understand about menopause weight gain is that it's not just weight gain, it's weight redistribution. And this is where things get really interesting from a scientific perspective. Studies from Harvard Medical School have shown that during menopause, women experience what researchers call visceral adiposity, which is a fancy way of saying that fat starts accumulating in places it never did before, particularly around your midsection. But here's the part that will connect to the shocking revelation I'm going to share with you later. This isn't happening because you're eating more carbs or because you're not doing enough crunches. This is happening because of a specific hormonal cascade that's literally reprogramming your fat cells to behave differently. And once you understand this cascade, you'll realize why everything you've tried before has failed. Now, let me tell you about the hormone that everyone talks about when it comes to menopause, estrogen, but I'm going to tell you something about estrogen and weight gain that most people get completely wrong. Everyone thinks that when estrogen levels drop during menopause, that's what causes weight gain. But research from the Mayo Clinic shows that it's not actually the drop in estrogen that's the problem. It's the timing and the pattern of how estrogen fluctuates during perimenopause that creates metabolic chaos in your body. During perimenopause, which can last anywhere from 4 to 10 years, your estrogen levels don't just gradually decline. They go on a roller coaster ride that would make Six Flags jealous. One week your estrogen might be higher than it was in your 20s. The next week it might plummet to postmenopausal levels. And this hormonal whiplash is literally confusing every system in your body that depends on hormonal signals to function properly. But here's where it gets really fascinating, and this is going to connect directly to the metabolic massacre I mentioned earlier. When your estrogen levels are fluctuating wildly, it doesn't just affect your reproductive system, it affects your insulin sensitivity, and this is where the real problem begins. Research published in Diabetes Care Journal shows that estrogen fluctuations during perimenopause can decrease insulin sensitivity by up to 40%, which means your body becomes less efficient at processing glucose and starts storing more of what you eat as fat, even if you're eating the exact same foods you've always eaten. This is why you can follow the same diet that worked for you in your 30s and 40s and actually gain weight instead of losing it. Now we're getting to the part that's going to make you angry, and rightfully so. The medical establishment has been telling women for decades that menopause weight gain is about eating less and moving more, when the real problem is insulin resistance caused by hormonal fluctuations. And this insulin resistance is creating a domino effect throughout your entire metabolic system. But there's another player in this story that most people never talk about, and this is where things get really shocking. I'm talking about cortisol, your stress hormone, and how it interacts with your changing estrogen levels to create what I call the perfect storm for weight gain. Here's what happens, and this might explain so much about your experience during menopause. When your estrogen levels are fluctuating, your body interprets this as stress, even if you don't feel particularly stressed mentally. This hormonal stress triggers an increase in cortisol production, and cortisol has a very specific job. It wants to make sure you have energy available for whatever stressful situation your body thinks you're facing. So cortisol starts breaking down muscle tissue to convert it to glucose, and it starts storing fat, particularly around your midsection, as a backup energy source. Studies from Yale University have shown that chronic cortisol elevation can increase abdominal fat storage by up to 70%, and this is happening to millions of women during menopause without them even realizing it. But wait, it gets worse, and this is going to connect to something I'm going to tell you later that will completely change how you think about weight loss during menopause. The combination of insulin resistance and elevated cortisol creates what researchers call metabolic syndrome, which affects up to 60% of postmenopausal women, according to data from the American Heart Association. Metabolic syndrome isn't just about weight gain, it's about your body literally forgetting how to burn fat efficiently. Your metabolism slows down not because you're getting older, but because the hormonal signals that tell your body to burn fat for energy are completely scrambled. Now, here's the part that's going to make everything click into place, and this is the metabolic massacre I've been building up to. During menopause, you don't just lose estrogen, you also experience a significant decline in growth hormone and testosterone. Yes, women need testosterone too. Growth hormone is responsible for maintaining lean muscle mass and keeping your metabolism running efficiently, and testosterone helps with muscle maintenance and fat burning. When these hormones decline, which they do dramatically during menopause, you experience what researchers call sarcopenia, which is the loss of muscle mass. Studies show that women can lose up to 8% of their muscle mass per decade after menopause. And here's the kicker. Muscle tissue burns 3 times more calories at rest than fat tissue does. So let me paint a complete picture for you of what's really happening in your body during menopause. Because once you see the whole story, you'll understand why traditional weight loss advice has failed you so miserably. Your estrogen is fluctuating wildly, causing insulin resistance and making it harder for your body to process the food you eat efficiently. Your cortisol levels are elevated, breaking down your muscle tissue and storing fat around your midsection. Your growth hormone and testosterone are declining, further reducing your muscle mass and slowing your metabolism. And on top of all of this, your thyroid function often becomes sluggish during menopause, which can slow your metabolism by an additional 10 to 15% according to research from the American Thyroid Association. This is why when someone tells you to just eat less and exercise more, it doesn't work. You're not fighting against a simple calories in, calories out equation. You're fighting against a completely disrupted hormonal system that has literally reprogrammed your body to store fat and burn muscle. It's like trying to win a chess game when someone keeps changing the rules in the middle of the game. But here's what's really going to shock you, and this is the part that most healthcare providers either don't know or don't bother to explain to their patients. All of these hormonal changes don't happen overnight when you reach menopause. They start happening during perimenopause, which can begin in your late 30s or early 40s, and they can continue for up to 10 years before you reach actual menopause. This means that you could have been dealing with these metabolic changes for years without understanding what was happening to your body. Now, I know what you're thinking. You want to know what you can do about all of this, and I promise I'm going to give you hope and practical solutions. But first I need you to understand one more crucial piece of this puzzle. The reason traditional dieting doesn't work during menopause isn't just because of the hormonal changes I've described. It's also because most diets actually make the problem worse by further disrupting your already fragile hormonal balance. When you severely restrict calories, which is what most diets tell you to do, you're sending a signal to your body that you're in a famine situation. Your body responds by slowing down your metabolism even further, increasing cortisol production, and holding onto fat stores even more tightly. This is why so many women find that the more they diet during menopause, the more weight they gain. It's not a failure of willpower, it's a biological response to perceived starvation in a body that's already hormonally stressed. Research from the New England Journal of Medicine shows that severe calorie restriction can slow metabolism by up to 20% within just 2 weeks. And for women going through menopause, this metabolic slowdown can persist for months or even years after the diet ends. This is why yo-yo dieting is so common during menopause, and why so many women find themselves heavier after each diet attempt than they were before they started. So what's the solution? How do you work with your body instead of against it during this hormonal transition? The key is understanding that successful weight management during menopause isn't about fighting your hormones, it's about supporting them. This means focusing on strategies that improve insulin sensitivity, reduce cortisol levels, support healthy thyroid function, and preserve muscle mass. It means eating in a way that stabilizes blood sugar rather than restricting calories to dangerous levels. It means incorporating specific types of movement that support hormonal balance rather than adding more stress to an already stressed system. The most important thing I want you to understand is that the weight gain you're experiencing during menopause is not a character flaw, it's not a lack of willpower, and it's not inevitable. It's a natural response to significant hormonal changes, and once you understand what's happening in your body and why, you can start making choices that support your metabolism rather than sabotaging it. One of the most powerful things you can do right now is to stop blaming yourself for the changes you're experiencing. The guilt and shame that so many women feel about weight gain during menopause actually increases cortisol levels, which makes the problem worse. Self-compassion isn't just good for your mental health, it's actually good for your metabolism too. I also want you to understand that successful weight management during menopause looks different than it did in your younger years. This isn't about getting back to the weight you were in your 20s or 30s. This is about finding a healthy weight that your body can maintain without constant struggle. And more importantly, it's about feeling strong, energetic, and comfortable in your own skin during this transition. The women who are most successful at managing their weight during menopause are the ones who shift their focus from the scale to their overall health and vitality. They prioritize sleep, stress management, and nutrient-dense foods. They incorporate strength training to preserve muscle mass and support their metabolism. They work with healthcare providers who understand the complex relationship between hormones and metabolism during menopause. Most importantly, they give themselves permission to be patient with the process. Reversing years of hormonal disruption and metabolic damage doesn't happen overnight, but it absolutely can happen when you have the right information and approach. If this video has helped you understand what's really happening in your body during menopause, if you're finally starting to see that your weight gain isn't your fault, or if you're feeling hopeful that there might actually be a solution that works with your body instead of against it, then you're ready to take the next step in your menopause journey. This is just the beginning of what you need to know about successfully managing your weight and health during menopause. And I'll be sharing more specific strategies and solutions in upcoming videos that will help you thrive during this transition instead of just surviving it. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss the practical tools that will help you feel amazing in your body during menopause and beyond.